Hey guys, Tudor Marine here with another Semper Sundays. Today, going to be talking about Second Lieutenant John P. Bobo. This guy was Weapons Platoon Commander of Company I, 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines of the 3rd Marine Division. And this happened in Vietnam, specifically the Quang Tri Province, which I hope is the proper way of saying that, on the 30th of March, 1967. His company was establishing ambush sites at night when the command group of the company was attacked by a reinforced North Vietnamese company who had heavy automatic weapons and mortar fire. They started hitting these Marines very, very hard. Lieutenant Bobo immediately organized a hasty defense and moved between the different positions of Marines, encouraging these guys to fire back and to do their jobs and, just to get the job done. And despite how much insane amount of fire was coming down upon them, a lot of Marines were hit initially, and among those was a rocket launcher from a launcher team, and he ran by, grabbed the rocket launcher from the dead Marines, and then he organized a new launcher team, and then started directing its fire into an enemy machine gun position to try to knock it out. And around this time, an enemy mortar round landed right next to him, and it exploded and it took off his right leg right below the knee. And so he's missing his leg from the knee down, essentially. At that point, he refused to be evacuated, which he could have been. He could have gone back to the rear and gotten patched up. But he refused to be evacuated and instead insisted upon being set up in a position that allowed him to cover the movement of the command group and allowed him to watch over the battle. So the Marines put him in this position, and they wrapped a web belt, which is basically the belt that they had at the time, around his leg, tightened it as tight as they could to try to serve as a tourniquet, and then jammed his leg into the dirt, the remaining part of it, so as to slow down the bleeding, to try to prevent it from bleeding as much. He remained in this position and delivered devastating fire down onto the enemy that were trying to overrun the Marines. And during this fighting, he was mortally wounded, again, while firing his weapon at the main point of the enemy attack. So sometime during this, while he was up there fucking bringing down death and destruction upon the North Vietnamese, he was hit and killed. But because of his spirit and his fighting and his command of the situation, his Marines were able to fight back and eventually completely defeat the Vietnamese company that attacked them. And he ended up obviously dying from this. But it's just amazing to me. This guy would have had a ride out. He would have guaranteed he would have lived. I mean, most likely he would have lived from, even though he had his leg blown off, the fact that they got a tourniquet on there and they were doing what they could to prevent it from bleeding more, chances are that he would have lived. But instead, he stayed there, stayed in command of his Marines, and provided fire down upon the bad guys so that they could make it out. And that's just absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And because of that, he received the Medal of Honor, as he definitely should have. So, yeah. All right, guys. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, hit me up, and I will see you later. Semper Fi.